Hello everyone, and welcome to Wine Dine Combine, where the world of wines unfolds right before your eyes. I'm Nino, your host for today, and soon we're gonna uncork some secrets of wine. We are at Marco Vella, shall we call it a wine boutique?
Wine bottle shop, but with a lot of weight of history and culture.
In the old city of Zebbug. Thanks for having us here today.
Welcome to our Enoteca. Long time not seen, so very happy to see you.
We know each other for more than 20 years now.
Definitely.
Time passes quickly.
Definitely.
We were planning to do these kind of things for very long time.
You have been telling me about this for many years now.
We are still alive, so it's never too late, how some people say.
But things, when they take more time, I see them more sculptured well in our minds, and they will come out much more already definite and refined.
Like an old wine.
Exactly.
I have so many questions, I don't know where to start.
So I think it's better that you start with one of your questions, because if I start, my life is definitely wines. It's not a matter of selling wines, but living wines. It's not a matter of also tasting the wine, but what is outside the bottle. So it's much better that you will start with your questions, because if I start, we end up.
In fact, I want to ask you, where did it all start? How did Marco Vella come to start Enoteca? I know, but just let's
So
engage some.
I have to go back many years. When I started going at the catering school, that was in Valletta, to become a chef, I fell immediately in love with the beverages studies. So it came to be that I realized that a way of traveling, it doesn't mean that you need only to enjoy traveling when you're traveling. You can have wines from all over the world, or as much as possible areas in the world, as an importer, as a distributor, or as a consumer, when you can really appreciate cultures. And I consider wines, first of all, a very good medium that eliminates prejudice. So I'm in love with history, I'm in love with culture, I'm in love with geography, and these are three of the main keys of the world of wines. So I can say I've been working since 1988. So this summer, this June is going to be my 37th summer, and honestly, I haven't been working since June 1988. It's a way of life, and I always emphasize that you don't need to drink a lot of wine to enjoy wine. Wine should be just a sip. Wine should be appreciated before you open the bottle. So you will assess things that you will taste. And when you are just sipping a wine, you're not swallowing the wine. Unfortunately, 70% of the wine is worldwide, it is swallowed down because it's a liquid. When we think about the wine, and when we understand what's outside the bottle, and we enjoy a sip of wine, and the wine is a good wine, so it gives us also an aftertaste, we don't need to finish the bottle. We can enjoy the bottle the next day, removing the air, and then the next day you will enjoy the second part of the bottle. You know, I emphasize a lot about these things because it's obvious that there is issues with alcohol. So we should treat alcohol as food, but there is alcohol in it. So it's not how much you drink, but what you drink. And what you drink, to enjoy it better, you need to appreciate what's outside the bottle. Cultures, people behind the production, okay? Second generation, third generation of the same winery, you will still feel that they are still as if they are the farmers themselves, as the original owner was. And a good wine producer is automatically, in default, sustainable, okay? But we need to sustain such producers because they are helping us to keep a balanced environment for the future generations. 80% of the soil, all right, it might be lost in 30 years' time all over the world. If the land is not cultivated. You can imagine? So you're not just enjoying a good bottle of wine and drinking responsibly, but you're also sustaining our Mother Earth. We need to produce authentic Maltese wines that foreigners, first of all, wants to take back their home, or we can sell worldwide online. But we need to promote our culture when we come to produce quality wines. We have story to tell. My God, we are fully immersed in culture
and history.
And history. So when we are selling our wines, both locally, both with Maltese and both with the foreigners, locally and looking also to sell our wines online, we want to think Malta. We want to think Gozo. We need to promote our temples, our prehistory.
Can you tell us about this place? About Zebbug per se, first of all?
So, first of all, the reason that we have our business set in a typical Maltese townhouse, okay? It comes obviously from the fact that both myself and my wife, we were always into history. I used to live in Santa Venera, and around the corner from my auntie's home in St. Joseph Street, there was this pharmacy at the corner of St. Joseph Street, and I was so much fascinated that they had the pharmacy downstairs and the house upstairs, which the Italians called Casa Bottega. So I was still 4 or 5 years, I used to say to myself, oh, it would be nice one fine day to have a business set in a Maltese townhouse. I was always in love with Maltese townhouses. Having the business set here, it is another dream coming true. And I'm very, very honored when I have customers coming here or to buy wines from the shop, or we have a wine appreciation in this room. Or when we are doing wine training with our own people, with our distribution partners, Nectar, that they will tell me, this is reminding me of my grandmother's house. And that's everything. Because passing this rich heritage to the new generations, it is very important. It's not only because we are protecting the village course that we have to think about moving in these type of houses. It is also because it is sustainable, practical, and very good to live in an environment where you have families growing up together in a community. And these are all our historical villages, which still have all these areas that bring various experience together. So, shall we go to Armenia?
For a second, yes. Why
sipping
not?
some wine from Mount Ararat. Okay. Mount Ararat is a biblical place, you know, where the tradition says that the Ark of Noah ended on land when the water started to cease after the
big flood.
Exactly.
To tell you the truth, I did taste some Armenian wine, but not this one.
So this is made out of RNE. There's a very nice story about this winery. All our importations already have, I don't want a very nice story, they have a story, because we always look into understanding the origins, not of the winery, but of the region. And then we choose which winery with whom to collaborate. So the owners of this winery made their fortune in fashion, Milano. Okay? And he had to leave Armenia because of the wars when he was a very small child, and he moved with his parents moved to Iran, eventually ended up in Italy. And when he had enough money, he wanted to, so he used to live in Milano, all right? He wanted to have a winery in Tuscany. So he had this friend of him, an enologist. He told me, I'm going back with my wife, she's also Armenian, going back to my country for the first time. When I come back, I want to have a winery in Tuscany, if there's a possibility to build a wine in Tuscany and get French classic varieties. So his enologist was doing this homework. He went down to Tuscany. In the meantime, he went to Armenia. Coming back from Armenia, he told his friend that, look, forget everything. Oh my God, what opportunities and what a great country is my native nation. Yes. I want to have a winery in Armenia, and I want to have this winery in the area of Mount Ararat. So they went together, and his intention was to have French varieties cultivated in Armenia. When they went to Armenia, the enologist said, it was the enologist now, he said, forget everything. What do you mean, forget everything? No. If you have to do a winery here, forget French varieties. Here you have native, indigenous varieties, like this 𝐅𝐎𝐻𝐿, which go back to 6,000 years, at least, without any DNA showing a crossing with any other variety. Until now, they already discovered 6 different indigenous varieties that all go back to 6,000 years minimum. This is not just Armenia. This is also very similar to what Georgia is doing, but all over the world. We know that Argentina now is looking into indigenous varieties. We also know about Puglia, which is not far from here. So it's not just Primitivo. Okay. You like Primitivo.
Had a history though.
Yes, but don't limit yourself to one variety. If you like that variety and you are you are somehow into structured wines, and maybe you're into wines from Puglia, try Nero di Troia, or try Sussumaniello, you know? So this is what we want to bring all of us involved in the sector. And there is this big demand now for indigenous varieties. So later on, earlier you asked me about Girgantina, about the Gialleusa. Oh, it's great to have these 2 varieties being given more importance in Malta. But it will be also very great if one fine day we can do some laboratory tests and create our Pinotage, which means that many will know that Pinotage is a crossing between Pinot Noir and Cinsault. That happened in 1920 in South Africa, and every year they were doing a new crossing until they had enough mature vine in 1928, and Pinotage came to be like what is, let's say, 𝐼𝐻𝐃𝐿 in Germany. So yes, strengthening also eventually Girgantina with an international variety, and strengthening also Gialleusa, which is already showing great results on its own. But who knows? We can also see the opportunity of having a crossings. But when you're saying, look, this was crossed with that, but this is indigenous, and this is indigenous, we are showing once again pride of our own heritage.
Example, 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿, for example, still they don't know if it's originating in Malta or in Sicily. Studies are showing what.
Look, there are 2 different studies. I remember once I had read that, I stand to be corrected, but many of the Sicilian varieties might have originated from vines that were already in Malta before. Don't forget that the Greeks were here, and a good very part from Sicily was under the Greeks. So and also
Phoenicians.
The amphora, okay, the clay. So Gozitan clay used to be, it's still found at a certain underground level in Malta. But then there is a level where there is no more Gozitan clay, which is made for amphoras. So they were exporting wine to Malta, exporting from Gozo, talking about 3,000 years ago. Then all of a sudden this clay is not there anymore. And they twinned, I think, with the University of Palermo, and they discovered this clay in Sicily. The Maltese starting producing their own wines, using local clay to produce the amphoras, to keep the wine in. So the Gozitans had to find another market, and they were exporting to Sicily. There is a book called 𝐅𝐎𝐻𝐃, Gozo and its history. It's written by the famous Agios de Soldanis. And in the first volume, he quotes that il-merħla u dwili ta' Għawdex huma uniċi fid-dinja. So, the vines and sheep of Gozo are unique to the world. But he is quoting a very important writer that lived during the time of the Romans.
Malta being the positioned well for all these things in life. I mean, I can imagine that trips from Greece coming to Malta brought first certain wines and certain varieties to Malta before going to Sicily. But some would say, because Sicily was under the Greeks for a very long time, that it could happen opposite. But I just wanted to touch the base that it might be that we have 3 indigenous grape varieties today existing in Malta, because 𝐼𝐻𝐾𝐲 might be, or doesn't have to be, an indigenous grape.
Look, there are still so much tests going on. 𝐼𝐻𝐾𝐲 came to be that some 200 years ago, there was a guy that came from Sicily and bought some vines with him. So then you end up saying, to buy me again those vines that you had with me last time of that guy from Sicily. Which one? Ah, yes, the 𝐼𝐻𝐾𝐲, which means someone from 𝐼𝐻𝐾𝐲, which today is Siracusa. Okay? Many of the vines names are nicknames given by the farmers. Coda di Volpe, it is because the shape of the grape has some sort of a small coda here.
Protrusion.
Okay, that
reminds of the wolf.
Exactly. So coda di Volpe. The more you read, the more you hear, the more you experience, the more you understand. Not that you don't know enough. It's not the thing. That there's so much to learn. So that is what we need to look at. Oh, great! Every single time I can learn something different. So we are getting rich into appreciating cultures. Getting Lebanese wines is the same thing. Getting wines from Greece is the same thing. Getting wines from Brazil is the same thing. Wine from South America in terms of Argentina, in terms of Chile. It's not just, okay, I've got Chilean wines. Yes, okay. From where? I love Chilean wines. But do you like wines which are very acidic Sauvignon Blanc from the Lleida area? Or you like Sauvignon Blanc which is more fruity from Curico, you know? And then you start thinking, okay, so this is not a country. Yes, it's a country, Chile. But there are different climates. Chile is based from 30 degrees south to 50 degrees south. So they have all the latitudes.
You mentioned Armenian wines. We are testing one of the indigenous Armenian grapes now. I still did not sip it. I'm still waiting it to open up because this is vintage 2017.
17, yes.
Can you tell us more about the indigenous grapes of Armenia and what you know about it?
So, for the red, there is also the Sareni, which was a recent discovered variety, but already in production. And for the whites, there is the Voskeat and the Karamandak. Sorry, the bottle here. And the Karandmak. But there is another for the whites from this particular producer. And they are sure that many more others are still to be discovered.
The wine that we are trying today, Armenian one, you mentioned something very interesting and peculiar. They are using the old process of aging it in amphoras.
Yes.
So can you explain a bit more about this particular variety that we are trying today?
So,
just in a brief note, I mean.
The philosophy behind it is that you produce wine in a container that gives it the opportunity to be distilled well and mature, fermented well and matured, without over-impacting with the element that you're using. It could be barrels or just something neutral like stainless steel. Amphoras gives the wine the opportunity to breathe, okay, without overpowering, because it's almost neutral. So that's why amphoras are becoming back to be very important. Their amphoras were very important for East countries until recently, until some 100 years ago. You will find large amphoras. Until the 90s and for the early year 2000, you still could buy large amphoras in outer areas that before were wineries. So they are digging them out and selling them to wine producers. But now obviously there is production once again, and it's fascinating that things that we had lost by time, they are becoming to be important once again. Plus also yet again sustainability, because you're using less wood.
So when it comes to wine, I believe that the old people being before us here on the Mother Earth, were actually smart enough to know that amphoras are, let's put this as an educational note, something interesting to know about that amphoras. Usually they are digged in the ground, in the cellar, to preserve the temperature. The wine maturing is actually allowing that all the best qualities of the variety that is put in to be emphasized. Even the shape of amphoras helps to that.
Exactly.
And aeration, and they didn't have fridges to keep the wines in the fridges. They didn't have cellars sometimes. Let's call them cellars, but they were having these places. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Josko Gravner. He's first one who did it.
Of course. He went to Georgia. I'm sure you know the story. When he came back, there's this video on his website, I think. When he came back in the 90s from Georgia, he was driving everyone crazy because he was already a respected producer. He removed everything from the winery and starting producing wine in amphoras. He was a pioneer.
Amazing person.
Yes,
amazing person.
Great vision. And
amphoras, I mean, it's one of the things that people forgot. Let's wake them up. And cheers, Marco. Thanks for this.
Cheers. Cheers. Sorah.
What is your opinion about current local trends? What do people in Malta like to consume right now? Which wine is popular? What do you see as a trend today, not only with the younger generation, in Malta as a population?
There is always trends. So now there is the trend of Primitivo. Before there was the trend of Carminer, but it doesn't mean the Carminer is not anymore a very good, important wine, or this Vander before that, you know. But there is Carminer and there's Carminer. It depends if there is Chianti and there is Chianti. When you started drinking Chianti was in a flask, okay, and everyone was drinking entry-level Chianti. Now, that is an old way of producing Chianti. Now the good producers of Chianti, like the Consorzio del Chianti, but other many good producers, they have Chianti, Chianti Classico, and Chianti Classico Riserva. And you can have also a single vineyard of Chianti. So you cannot just judge Chianti from what you used to enjoy. There is a world of wines out there to discover. World of regionalities to discover, and food. And wine goes always with food. And so we should not limit ourselves into the trend because others are enjoying this and I will be enjoying that. Sometimes it happens that we are afraid to try things out. So we follow the trends because we think that I am the only person in the world that does not know about wine. And that is a perception that we all have. It comes from aristocratic times, where the knowledge was kept for the kings and the nobles, okay? And for us, knowledge was out of reach. Wine was part of that knowledge. But when I discovered that there are so much tools that I can use today to get my own answers, I might move from the trends, because now I'm getting some tools to start discovering different things, different wines. So different, I don't say countries or cultures, different regionalities.
Sometimes you have, and it's happening not only in France, all around the world, two bordering vineyards producing completely different wine. Exactly. From the same grape variety. Which is to tell that those small micro things have a lot of influence on the wine, how it's grown, how it's produced, what did this winemaker did different to his wines. Is it a secret recipe? No, it's the terroir. It's the ground.
And also his philosophy into the production. And I repeat again, and with all these things that you mentioned, so you have quality wines, so you have aftertaste. So what I would like to point out here, it's not the back label or the front label, but this. We have been enjoying this wine for at least 45 minutes. Nino, is that correct? So we only consumed that much from the bottleneck of the wine. So here I have another 3 at least sips of wine. If I drink put more than a teaspoon of wine in my mouth, I naturally will swallow the wine. And my mind will say, look, he poured 20% extra, so let's sip the 20%, it will all go down. So I will not be enjoying the wine. But when we go like this, and we are talking, and we are appreciating time together, to be honest, this is my real first sip today. Now I was thinking wine. I really feel uncomfortable hearing people saying that they consume as an individual 1 bottle of wine. That is absolutely not healthy. because we can take as individuals, for men, up to 3 glasses of wine, and for ladies up to glasses of wine. And this is the glass of wine, not this. This is the glass of wine. So enjoy your wine sensibly. Be sure that the wine has quality. The back labels explain a lot today.
Sometimes the wine will be better next day.
Exactly. I'm not saying that lower priced wines are not good wines. Absolutely, it's not the case. But wine should give you at any price level, should give you good enjoyment drinking it, and enough good aftertaste that will not bring immediately the next sip. If the wine brings immediately the glass for another sip and you say, the wine was really good, we ended up drinking 3 bottles of wine, it went out down like water. Please drink water. You are taking alcohol. Just to mention the alcohol side of it. Wine should be treated as food, and when food is good, you don't swallow the food, you chew it. And same with liquid. And it's more easily to overdrink when something is liquid. So the more wine is good, the more it is on the food side, and the more the wine will tell you, please chew me.
Treat me with respect.
Enjoy me. Okay? And that will give you more because it remains in the glass, right? And you can close the bottle, remove the air. There are very, very useful, cheap things to use today to remove the air. And the next day you will continue enjoying the wine, or sometimes it's not the first time that we end up consuming the wine in 3 days. And we end up saying, oh my God, it's even better now, when the wine is good. But when the wine is good, it could be a €5 wine, it could be a €6 wine, a €7 wine. Oh God, 100%, definitely. Don't judge the wine by the price. There are wines which are high priced, but they don't give you back the value that you paid for. So you are going to judge the wine by assessing not only the taste, but how lengthy the aftertaste of the wine is. And if that aftertaste is something that still you are enjoying.
And as individual, some people will not assume the same opinion about the same wine. 100%. As you know, that is 100% individual.
Something that I always...
the tastes are different.
First of all, when we organize wine appreciations here, or sometimes even with restaurants, I always start with saying this first thing. I'm not a sommelier, I'm a negociant. And you will see people that already are feeling more comfortable. Going back to that thing that I am the only person that I don't know about wine. Because wine is very subjective. It's your opinion and your taste, and my opinion and my taste. So it's a very easy question that you will hear is that, so which is the best wine for you? There is no best wine for me. What is the wine that you prefer most? There is no preference. So what are the most important wines in the world? There is no most important wines in the world. There are wines. I will never limit myself or prejudge things because the wine writer wrote this or that about wine. I have to judge things and not being influenced by prices on the low side and on the high side.
How many varieties Marco Vella gets to Malta?
So, you mean wines?
Wines.
Okay. So, I think we have some 15 collaborations between Sicily and Italy, mainland, and Sardinia. Some 6 French wineries. Then we have a German winery, Armenia, 3 wineries from Greece, Lebanon, 3 Spanish wineries, South African 2 producers, South African producers, always different regions, okay? 2 Argentinian wineries, 1 from San Juan and 1 from Mendoza. So 2 main regions for the great upcoming Argentina. Argentina is going to be the big thing in a few years' time. And 2 wineries from Chile, an Australian producer. So we have some 45 collaborations for wines, and we have some 10 spirits producers, including a grappa producer. But we always take the same philosophy of approach when it comes to spirits. So spirits or beer which are inclined to the world of wines. So if we take beer, we have yes, a craft beer, but our craft beer is produced by the monks of Saint Benedict in Nursia, the native town of Saint Benedict, and it's obviously, but it is a Trappist recipe. It goes down always to getting detail, getting information. The information that we pass from a different part of the chain to the final consumer, it makes a holistic experience for all of us, from the person selecting the wine up to the person compiling the wine list and the person serving the wine in the restaurant and the final consumer. You can have a day full of problems, queues here, queues there, traffic, everything, and in the evening you really had a great dinner, an experience. You didn't want to leave that restaurant. That was a great day. What better ambassadors in the hospitality sector? Obviously, you need to have the right food, the right wines, the right ambience, the right everything, but you need to have knowledge.
What do you think about the education in hospitality today and education years before? I mean, some things improved, but I'm seeing the restaurants more fast-paced, not all of them obviously, but more fast-paced environments, more inclined, and the ones that you find that they are good, sometimes they're out of the range of the normal people. What do you think about the future in the industry? So what will happen with wines here?
So, first of all, what we are seeing is not just only for Malta, okay? A post-COVID rush of rushing things, as if the end of the world is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we end up sometimes go to eat, not to dine. Okay? So, first of all, we have to be the first to take the opportunity to enjoy ourselves, to go to the restaurant. 2, there is a lot still to be done in the education in terms of training schools.
Let's discuss Marco Vella one more time. What do you expect after, if I'm not mistaken, you were around 15 years on your own as
this is our 12th year.
12th.
12 years.
Okay.
So
I remember that place in Fleur de Lis.
Yes, I remember. You also had come and did this generous traditional thing. I think you were the one that drove the money behind it.
That's how it.
But that was something that I was telling my wife the other day. She told me how smart of him. That was a very nice blessing, you know. You were what are you doing? Throwing money behind the furniture, saying in our country this is some
Custom.
very nice. So for the first 9 years, we started in the company in 2013. Okay, for the first 9 years, we were building the brands. I never thought that after 9 years something very nice will happen in, let's say, my own first generation of the company, because we had been approached by Nectar, who is a very well-known local distributor of food, and 2 years ago, this month, we started this collaboration where we remain the importers, and through Nectar we do distribution in restaurants. So we also do consultancy with them. We train both HoReCa and off-trade people, and obviously we continue to work one-to-one with restaurants, training restaurants, doing wine lists. So it's great, because now we can really focus on our strength, and our partners, Nectar, focus on distribution. It's a perfect symphony. So that's something really great also for our own producers. Certain things happening even in terms of, let's say, more presence in the market. It is a way also to say thank you to these producers that believe so much in us. Now we can do more with restaurants, we can focus more on training. So
focus on more important things.
Exactly, so it's a win-win situation.
What can I say? Thank you for having us here.
You know, it was a great pleasure, Nino.
I think we have a lot of stories to say about wine.
It's a never-ending thing.
So, and we should do it while we can.
For the next chapter.
Thank you, Marco.
Grazie ħafna.
Miałem przyjemność.
Ħabib.